Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope everyone had a great Wednesday. Markets were a little bit mixed today, but Bitcoin and Ethereum were able actually to squeeze out a win for today. So we'll take a look at all that's going on there. We'll also take a look at the miners, see how they did today. It was a little bit more of a mixed bag. One was up huge today. I think it's because of the news coming out tomorrow, possibly. And we also will take a look at which miners can possibly 5x this year. If we get a nice bull run, I think there's a potential for a lot of these to get to 5x or higher. We'll take a look at all the data that I do have on them and which ones possibly could get there. Okay. So as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice, and I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. If you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at the markets here really quick. Okay. So S&P was down at 8.02% to 4,016. Dow Jones was up 0.03% to 33,743. And the NASDAQ was down 0.27% to 11,814. Bitcoin had a wild day today. It was up, well, it finished up 1.88%, but it was up much higher. It had a high of 23,824, which is pretty much in line with our resistance line here in blue. And it basically went up to it, came back down, unfortunately, but we are going back up in the next trading day, which is now Thursday, I guess you could say. I'm recording this, it's now almost 8 o'clock, a little bit after 8 o'clock. So we're in the new day for about 2 hours or so. And it is looking good so far right now. Okay, if we look at the RSI has been kind of going down a little bit while price has been going up on the daily chart, which is a pretty good sign. If we look at the 4-hour chart also, we can see RSI has come up a little bit here to 67 from a low of 50 or so. And if we look back to where it was before, price was lower. We're still higher on price, so that's a good sign there. If we look at the 1-hour chart, also you can see this, we had this wild candlestick here that was basically right before the 1 hour before it closed into the new trading day here. And we went up to a high of 23,714. Then we switched over to the next hour and we went up to the 23,824, but came down all the way to 22,832. Almost a $1,000 swing here in both of these trades, these hours. So it was definitely crazy there. And the RSI right now is at 58. Last time we were back here roughly, price was actually lower at that point. We are higher in price, so we're still looking pretty good on the 1-hour chart there. Okay, Ethereum on the daily chart, we can see here that it was up today 3.63% on the day. It closed at 1,612. We had a high of 1,640 and a low of 1,513. So also a pretty wild day here. RSI has been coming down while price has been, if we look at the peak here, we can see price was at 1,550. And right now, RSI is lower and price is at 1,620 right now. So it's looking pretty good there. 4-hour chart, also RSI is at 56. Last time we were back here roughly, price was about the same, it looks like. So we're still okay there. On the 1-hour chart, RSI has come up to the 63. Last time we were back here on that one was back over here. And actually price was higher on that one at that point. So we'll keep an eye on it, see if we get a reversal on Ethereum. And if that happens, we may also see a reversal in Bitcoin. But right now, we'll just keep an eye on that one, okay? Excuse me. Now, as the miners are concerned, ANY was down 1.27% today to 41 cents. Argo was down 4.85% to $1.96. Bit Digital was up 0.72% to $1.40. Bitfarms was down 4.42% to $1.08. CleanSpark was flat on the day at $2.80. Core Scientific was the one that I spoke of. That pumped really hard today, is up 70%, was up like 80% at one point. It's up at 18 cents. I think they're supposed to have a court hearing tomorrow, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. And I think it's the reason why it's pumping today is because of that. I think there's just some maybe strong sentiment that things are going to work out for them. And obviously the stock pumped today. Okay. DigiHost was up 1.39% to $1.46. DMG was down 2.72% to 23 cents. Greenidge was down 0.39% to 87 cents. Hive was down 0.3% to $3.32. Hut 8 was down 5.56% to $1.87. Iris Energy was down today 1.37% to $2.16. Marathon was down 0.57% to $8.75. Mawson was down 2.13% to 46. Riot was up 1.47% to $6.23. Soluna was down 2.81% to 45 cents. And Terawulf was up 5.96% to $1.01. Okay. So like I said, it was a pretty much mixed bag on the miners today. They did start out lower, much lower than where they ended up during the day at the close, which was good. They took back some of the losses that they had in the beginning of the trading day. Okay, next is the network hash rate. Let's take a look at that one, see how that one's improving. Actually went down a little bit. So it has gone down to 265 million on the 7-day average, and on the 1-day average, holy cow, we got a new spike on it. Okay, so we have a new record on it. It's 327 million now. Previous record was 316 million. So miners are definitely getting plugged in, and quite a bit of them. And that's, well, I think that's because the Bitcoin price is going back up. It's becoming more profitable for the miners to get plugged in and mining. So I think that's why they're doing it. And I think that trend is going to continue. So we'll see where we end up in the next couple of months. I'm guessing we're going to be probably closer to 350, 375 million on the terahashes, but we'll see how that all plays out as the miners get installed. Okay, that have been ordered from 2021, 2022, and they're still getting installed. Okay. All right, so that's it. So let's take a look at some of the miners that I think potentially might 5x in this coming bull run that we might have this year and into possibly next year, with the halving event coming up later on in 2023. And I got to do some more data on this, but I think potentially that some of the miners may pull back before the halving event. Well, because their revenue is going to get slashed in half, basically. So I think there's going to be some pullback in the miners, but I got to do some more data on it. When I have the data on it, I'll definitely provide it to you guys as well. Okay, so as you guys know, I track all the miners here. I track a lot of data on them. So we're kind of going to go through just these couple things here that we do have. So the shares outstanding, you guys know all this. Stock price, you guys are aware of that as well. Market cap as well. Shares outstanding is calculated by market cap divided by the stock price. That's how we're calculating that. The 20, the 35 here, 15, 20, 10s. Those are my PE ratios that I set up for the miners, how I think they're going to perform potentially. This is not exact. This is just an estimate. They could do obviously a lot better. Like at Marathon at possibly 35. I was just playing around with the numbers a little bit today. But we'll take a look at it. Let me put Marathon back to 20 here. And just to keep things fair so that nobody's above anything right now. Okay, so there's how that's being calculated. Then I'm using also the estimated revenue for the last 3 quarters plus the current quarter. And on some of these miners, it is based on the third quarter being an estimate for Argo, Iris, and DMG, as they have not provided their third quarter results yet. The other miners have provided those, so we're using basically the first quarter, second quarter, and excuse me, the third quarter of 2022, and then the fourth quarter is an estimate of it, and we're getting the total for that all combined into this one here. If we look at the 50% price to earnings multiple, so we're looking at 50% net income from gross revenue, and we're also looking at 75% net income from gross revenue with a PE of 20 or 15 or 10, depending on it. That's where I'm getting these numbers from. And then we look at under or overvalued based on the current stock price, both on the 50% and the 75% net income. And then what's the difference on it? And we'll get through all these here numbers, and I'll kind of go through which ones I think will more than likely do a 5x, if not more. But let's just dive into it. And then you guys know the current hash rate, future hash rate, percent operational. We've done this in the past. We'll kind of look into this as well. So Riot. Riot has a market cap right now of about $1 billion. They're the top ones. So I sorted these guys by market cap right now, which ones are the most valued versus the ones that are the least valued. And we'll go through the numbers. So Riot, I have them at about 156 million right now, and this is just for their Bitcoin mining. Riot also has done plenty of curtailment with their electricity. They do get credits for that. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I believe that's going to be, we'll have to see how they provide it in their numbers for Q4. But I think it's going to help them out with that as well. Okay, so at 50% net income, we're looking at $9.36. They are currently at $6.23. That is, they're lower by $3.13 where I think they should be. That would be a 50% rise in them. But I think if Bitcoin starts going up to like maybe 35 or maybe 30, 35, 40,000, I think we could see a much higher PE ratio on that, as investors are forward looking for the most part. And well, as there's Bitcoin's going up in price, they're going to be able to generate more revenue going forward. So I think we could see on some of these easily like a 30, 35, maybe even a 40 PE because of that fact. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is just a pretty, what would you call this? A conservative estimate of where I think they should be. Okay, so Riot, I think, has the potential of going 50% up higher or 125% higher, depending on where their gross net profit is at, 75% or 50%, right? If it's towards the higher end, as Bitcoin goes up in price, their net profit is going to increase. So that should get them closer to that higher line here. Okay, so that would be basically a 1x. But if they go up to a 40 PE, well, then now you're looking at possibly closer to a 5x potentially. And they were like $80 at one point during the last bull run. So, I mean, if you do 10x on that, you're only getting them to $6.23 potentially, okay? So I think there is potential for them to do at least a 5x, if not higher. Marathon is right now at $1.022 billion. Their stock price is $8.75 right now. I estimate them, as far as the last 4 quarters, potentially having revenue of $117 million. That would also put them at a 50% PE at $10 and then 75 at $15. They are right now $1.33 shy of that, and the 50% and $6.37 shy on the 75%. So they potentially, on the conservative side, have about 15% increase to my targets on them. And then on the 75%, we're looking at 73%. Okay. That doesn't mean that's where they're going to end up at. Marathon also was closer to like $70, $80 in the last bull run. That would be a 10x easy for them if they get back to that number. They are also a lot higher in hash rate than they were last time, along with Riot. Riot's at 9.7 exahash, Marathon is at 7. I think if Bitcoin starts going up in price, they do definitely have the potential of getting to at least a 5x, if not more. Okay, next is Hut 8. Hut 8 is valued at $435 million right now. Their stock price is $1.87. I have them at a P of 15, and that's, I think, being pretty generous, considering that they are at 2.5 exahash and they are having problems with one of their facilities that's causing them to lose about 700 petahash each month right now. And the revenue was $102 million, right? I'm estimating $102 million for the last 4 quarters. 50%, we're looking at $3.28. 75% would be $4.93. They are $1.41 away from the 50% and $3.06 away from the 75% mark that I have them at. That will represent about 76% increase on the 50% and 163% on the 75%. Now, given that they also don't have, or at least they haven't provided any growth strategy going forward into 2023 as far as buying more miners, I think they're going to be close to getting a 5x potentially. I think their highest price, they were around $13 or $15 during the last bull run. That would get them to pretty close to a 5x potentially. Okay, so there is some potential with them as well. Next is Hive. Hive is at $278 million valued right now, $3.32 on the stock price. They are also having problems now with being down on mining because of Ethereum. Stopped being mineable back in September. That has hurt them greatly. It also has reduced their revenue quite tremendously here in the last quarter and in the third quarter as well. So I have them at $137 million total for the year, but I think that number is going to continue to go down unless they are able to, grow their hash rate quite substantially here in the next year. And forgive me, I got to clear my throat here. Okay. With that being said, they are right now $9.02 away on the 50-cent mark. So I have a 50% net income at $12.34. 75% would be $18.51. And from the 75%, they are $15 away from that right now. So with getting to 50%, that would be an increase of 272. Getting them to 75%, that would be 458. So I think they do have the potential of going 5x potentially. It all depends on how they continue to grow into this year. They have already installed their Hive, what do they call those? Hive miners or some buzz miners, I think they call them, which are Intel ASICs. So those are getting installed as well. That's going to help them out going forward. That should get them to about the 3.4 exahash mark, but we still need to see them grow even more than that because they have had pretty bad couple months here in the past year. Okay, next is Bitfarms. Bitfarms is at $247 million right now. The market cap, stock price is $1.08. They are, let me see here, I'm estimating them to be generating about 141 million right now. They are at 50% net income at $4.63. What I have them, 75% net income at $6.94. They're $3.55 away from the 50% and $5.86 away from the 75% mark. So with the difference of 328 potential gain on the 50% and 542% on the 75%. So I do think that they can get easily 5x this year if they continue to grow as well as they have been and mining as well as they have been. They are currently at 4.5 exahash. They're supposed to get to about 7.5 in Argentina. I believe that they're doing it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Argentina that they're also growing their Bitcoin mining there. And like I said, yeah, I think they definitely have at least a 5x potential for them. CleanSpark is right now valued at 208 million right now, $2.80 for the stock price. I'm at a PE of 20 right now with their estimated current last 3 quarters and last quarter at 121 million. Stock at 50%, I'm looking at them to be about $16.32. At 75, we're looking at 24 and 49. So they are right now $13.52 away from the 50%. 75%, they are $21.69. And then if they get to the 50% mark, we're looking at 483% increase on them. And if they get to 75%, we're looking at possibly 774. So I definitely think that they will be able to get there. They are pretty close to being tapped out for their miners. They are at 6.2 exahash. They're supposed to get to 7. They have provided guidance that they want to get to 16 exahash by the end of the year. So we'll see how close they are able to get to that. If they are able to get to that, that's going to definitely drive their revenue up a lot more. Okay, so I definitely think that they have the potential for it. Next is Terawulf. Terawulf has a market cap rate of 138 million. They are at $1 right now. I have them at a growth of PE of 20. Their revenue has been kind of slow, but they've been only really mining for the last maybe 2 quarters or something like that. So the revenue is low, but it has been increasing nicely. So I would expect them to grow continually. I have them at right now at 90 cents. So they are a little bit overvalued from where I think they are based on the revenue, but I think investors are looking at forward growth, future growth, and they're definitely giving them a higher multiple on that for that reason. They at 75%, they would be $1.34. So there is still some room for them to go up on that part. So overall, we're looking at about 11% to a negative 11% on the 50% and 33% on the 75% growth if that happens. Now, they are at 2 exahash right now. They're supposed to get to about 5.5 exahash. If they can continue their growth that they have had so far, I think they can definitely get up higher. And I think investors are going to be pushing the stock up higher as well. Okay, so I think they can get pretty close to 5x. I don't know if they can get higher than that. It all depends on where Bitcoin goes. Okay. Next is Argo. Argo is 122 million right now in value and a stock price of $1.96. I calculated them to be about 58 million. And like I said, Q4 and Q3 are estimates. Q2 and Q1 are actual numbers that we have for them. So this is kind of what I'm estimating that they're going to be at for the Bitcoin mining. And at 50%, I have them at $4.63. At 75%, they would be at $6.95. So right now, they are $2.67 away from the 50% and $4.89 away from the 75%. And that would be a growth of 136 for the 50% and 255 for that. And I do have them at a PE of 10. And that is basically because they are pretty much tapped out at 2.5 exahash. They sold their facility in Texas to Galaxy Digital. They still have a couple other facilities that they can mine with. But it looks like, right now they're pretty much tapped out for growth. They have not provided any information that they're going to be growing any further this year. So for that reason, I have them where they are. And for that reason, I think it's going to be really hard for them to get above 5x. But it is possible. Okay. Next is Iris Energy. Iris Energy is 118 right now, million valued, and $2.16 on the stock. I have them at a PE of 15. They are also calculated revenue of 61 million. Now, they also gave back a lot of their miners as well through their special purpose vehicles that they had. I think they gave back like 3 point some exahash, which hurt them quite tremendously for that. But, if they weren't profitable and they had to pay bills on them, well, okay, I can understand why they give them back. So with that being said, I'm at $8.41 and $12.61, but I think this number is going to drop down as we get into the next quarter and the following quarter, because the revenue has definitely decreased substantially because of that giving back the miners. Now, so they're $6.25 away from the 50, $10.45 from the 75. That would be a 289% increase for the 50 and 484% increase from the 75 if that happens. They are right now at 1.5 exahash, and they're supposed to get about to 2.7. They can buy more miners, which I think they said that they are looking for ways to grow organically. They didn't provide exactly how much, but they are looking to grow. And for that reason, I'm at 15, because I think they might be able to execute on this, and especially with the miners being down right now in price per terahash, I think it might be a good time for them to possibly, buy in the dip. But we'll see if that one actually happens. So I think 5x is possible, but it's going to be difficult for them to get there. And it also depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up much higher than I'm thinking by the end of this year. They could definitely get a 5x on them as well. Okay, next is BitDigital. BitDigital has 115 million market cap right now, stock price $1.40. I calculated the last 3 quarters plus the previous quarter of Q4 of 32 million for them in revenue. At 50%, we're looking at $1.96. At 75%, we're looking at $2.93. They are right now 56 cents away from the 50% and $1.53 away from the 75%. That gives them a little bit of growth to 40% on the 50 and 109% on the 75. So they are pretty close to being well valued, I think. And their growth is going to be pretty marginal here. It's not marginal. They're going to go about 100% in growth from 1.2 to 2.8 exahash. At least that's what I have for them. But they are also turning off some of the miners. I don't know which ones they're going to be turning off. The ones that are at the lower hash rate that are not as efficient, they're, I think, selling those or scrapping those. We'll see where they actually end up at for their hash rate. Okay, and they're still having issues trying to get their miners plugged in at hosting sites. So for that reason, I think it might be difficult for them to get a 5x, but they could get pretty close to it. Next is Core. Core is in bankruptcy right now, so we'll see where they end up at. It's kind of hard to figure out where they're going to be, but this is kind of just what I have them at, so you guys can take a look at it. I'm not going to get into it until we get some more numbers from them and some more definitive answers as far as if they're going to survive or not. And then we got DigiHost. DigiHost is at 39 million right now, market cap $1.46. I have them estimated revenue of 22 million for the last 4 quarters. And we're looking at 50% at $6.08, 75% at $9.11. They are $4.62 away from the 50%, $7.65 away from the 75%. That would give us a increase of 316 and 524. I think they do have the potential for it. They're at 650 petahash right now, getting to 1.1, but they are also looking to grow as well. So I think they might be able to pull this off and get at least a 5x on them, if not a little bit more than that. Okay. Next is DMG. DMG is at 38 million with 23 cents per the stock price. I have them at 25 million in revenue right now, and 50%, and we're looking at 74 cents, and at 75, we're looking at $1.12. So they are 51 cents away from 50% and 89 cents away from the 75%. That would give them a growth of 224% and 385% roughly. And they are at 900 petahash right now, and they're going to be at about 1 exahash. So I'm not sure if they will be able to get close to that, to the 5x, but there is potential for it. Okay, next is Mawson. Mawson is at 37 million right now, market cap 46 cents. I have their revenue at 43 million right now for the last 4 quarters, and if we're looking at the 50%, we're looking at $2.66, 75, we're looking at $4. So they are $2.20 away from the 50% and $3.54 away from the 75%. So that would be an increase of 479% to get to the 50% and 769 to get them to the 75%, if that works out that way. So I do think that they are way undervalued right now based on these numbers. And like I said, there'll be 479% increase and 769% increase. I do think that they might be able to get to the 5x mark, but it's going to be tough for them. They are 1 exahash right now. Their future hash rate is going to be 1.7, so not a lot of growth left. As Bitcoin continues to go up in price, hash rate is going to increase. If they don't increase with that network hash rate increase percentage-wise, they're going to be generating less and less Bitcoin, but it is going to be more valuable, so they can kind of offset that by doing that. And a lot of these guys can do the same thing. And then finally, we got Sphere here at 28 million, market cap at 41 cents. They only generated so far 3.4 million this past year, the last 4 quarters, And that's because they were stuck at 100 petahash for the majority of the year. They finally got up to 365. I think it was in either November or December that they actually got up to 365 petahash. Their goal is to get to 1.7 exahash. And I think it's actually going to be higher than that. Let me see if I have that right. Yeah, I'm pulling in the right information, I think. So they still have quite a bit of growth in them as well. Right now, I think that they are a little bit overvalued. I have them at positive 4 cents. I have them at 37 cents. They are at 41 cents right now based on just their revenue so far this year. But if they're able to execute on getting more miners installed and energized, that can quickly grow for them. So right now we're looking at a negative 10% to a 35% gain potential on them based on the current revenue, okay? So based on of all these, I think definitely Riot, Marathon, because they have pumped in the past to even more than 5x. I think they can do the same thing this year. I think HUT has the potential for it, but they got to work on getting more miners. HIVE definitely has the potential. Bitfarms, CleanSpark, definitely. And then we were looking at Terawulf. Terawulf, we'll see. They're a new miner here on the block just this past year. Then Argo's going to have a tough time. Iris, I think, as well, could potentially do it. Bit Digital, like I said, it's going to be a tough one. Core, well, I mean, if Core gets out of bankruptcy or is able to survive somehow and the stock price goes up just to $1, I mean, you got 5x right there if that happens. DigiHost, I think they can do it. DMG is going to be a questionable in Moss, and I think there's also going to be a possibility of them getting there as well. It all depends on where Bitcoin ends up at and where the miners continue to grow. Okay, so that is it. Let me know what you guys thought of all the numbers. It's a lot as always, but it does help see which ones are undervalued, which ones are overvalued a little bit, and it all depends on where Bitcoin goes in the future. So this year, like I said, I think this year the Bitcoin's going to go possibly closer to like 30, 40,000 by the end of the year, if not maybe a little bit higher, especially as we get closer to the halving event. At that point, I think Bitcoin will really start to rally into 2024. But my concern was with the miners, with the halving event, that they will possibly get cut in price prior to the halving because they're going to be generating, well, half the revenue. So we got to keep an eye on that. We may have to start pulling some of our profits out before then, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see. And then, like I said, I have to do some more data on it to see what happened last bull run and bear market to see if miners started to pull back before the halving event last time. Okay. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, Spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys all, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Also, if you enjoyed the content, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you. Bye.